Thank you. Lately, I've been getting more and more aware of how I'm feeling and if I feel good or not. And I'm getting really good in, when I'm awake, sort of being neutral with my mind. And if I get in that state, I think I did it just now, then...
You did do it just now. And when you did,
Yeah, it feels like that.
a strong, visible to us, burst of energy. Yeah.
Yeah, it feels like that in your solar plexus. It feels so much as relief, and
Relief.
sometimes I get goosebumps if I'm there. It feels really, really powerful, and I'm curious if it's that powerful in creating the life that I want.
Well, it's all of that, but let us give you some clarification about it. You've been listening to us for a while, so you've undoubtedly heard us talking about step 1 is contrast causes you to ask. Step 2 is source answers, and that's what we were talking about earlier, about this vibrational reality gathering and law of attraction gathering to it, and your inner being there as a point of attraction, attracting to it. And that's what's calling you forward all the time. What feels to you like the future you, but what is known by us to be the present you, calling you into the fullness of your present so that it can be seen and experienced in the full actualization or manifested way. Step 3 is what you were just describing, being in that receptive mode so that in the absence of resistance, there is this smooth passage of vibrational information between this vortex and your conscious mind. That's where your ideas come from. And when an idea comes, that's what it means. An idea has that feeling of relief in it too at first, and a feeling of exhilaration. So step 3 is the most important step, because that's where you really let you receive what you've been asking for. But then we added step 4. What step 4 is just being really good at step 3. And that sounds odd. You'd think we could just call it step 3 advanced. But step 4, we wanted it to be emphatic to you, because step 4 is where you've practiced that feeling of alignment so often that you know when you're doing it, you know when you're not. You just described all of that to us. So as you know when you're there, you can go there when you choose to. And if you start slipping down a little bit, then that's what we are calling step 5. Step 5 is going back to step 1 and not being upset about it. Step 5 is understanding the value of contrast once you have mastered that alignment. That's really where you want to be. You want to be really good at the receptive mode and willing to dip into resistance, because how else are you going to put more into the vortex? In other words, expansion depends on contrast, you see. But when you are, as you have just described yourself to be, aware of what it feels like to be tuned in, tapped in, turned on, aware of how to get there, able to get there because you choose to get there, and then most of all, not mad at yourself when you dip out of it a little bit. Now you are a masterful creator. You are a deliberate creator. And now you can go to that sweet spot often, that sweet spot where the thoughts are turning to things, the thoughts are turning to things, the thoughts are turning to things. Yeah.
Being in step 5, that's something I gotta do.
We know.
I hate being in step 1 again.
But you know,
And it's getting a little bit, sometimes I think I'm getting a little bit obsessed about feeling good. Because if I don't feel good, I'm back in step 1, then I'm sort of efforting to get in step 3 again, instead of allowing it.
before you add too many engines on the doubt end of your train, we just want to remind you that all of that is still masterful creating. Because when you said, I hate slipping back into step 1, what you're saying is the negative emotion is uncomfortable enough, but even more than that, it is telling me that I am not focusing in the way that I know to focus. And I am so determined to focus upon what I want that then I am not only unhappy about the resistance that I'm creating, but now I'm unhappy that I'm creating the resistance. Well, if that's the case, you really are back in step 1. You're not in step 5. Because it's one thing to feel negative emotion and understand that it's just guidance. It's another thing altogether to be really mad at yourself about feeling negative emotion. So just say to yourself when you come to that place, all right, is this a step 1 moment or a step 5 moment? I'm accepting that there's resistance here. I'm accepting that I'm focused upon what I don't want. Well, it wasn't my fault, or it snuck up on me, or these things happen. Just don't get too carried away trying to explain why you are there. Just lightly appreciate your guidance system and appreciate the new clarification that is coming from it. And most of all, appreciate the new compounding, amending rockets of desire that are coming out of it, because they are.
Okay.
Yeah. The most important thing to remember is that when you are exploring contrast, your inner being is enjoying all of it so much, because your inner being knows what it is yielding and what it means, not only to you, but to the universe at large. So step 1 from inner being's standpoint is always an aligned moment. Step 2, well, we're right there. We're right there, just eating up everything that you're feeding to your vortex, just reveling in your new discoveries and thrilled with your new expansion and thrilled with the expansion that you're causing universally. And then as we witness you in step 3, that moment of relief, those moments of satisfaction, that's you feeling us, cheering you, thrilled with you, exhilarated about what you've got going on. And when you are in step 4, those are proud moments for us, because we can feel the deliberateness with which you are focusing yourself. And when you have a step 5 moment, we are equally thrilled, because that step 5 moment means that you are now, finally, now, embracing the environment and the creative process that you are about. Someone who doesn't accept a step 1 moment is someone who doesn't understand creation. Someone who doesn't accept a step 1 moment is someone who's worried about how it looks to others or what somebody else might think. But a step 5 moment is one of feeling the emotion, but feeling it in some measure of control. Sort of like being in a new fast car and going really, really fast, and then suddenly realizing you're going just a little too fast for the conditions, and so you just slow it down a little bit. In other words, you're not crazy, you just want to go fast.